Today's guest is Stanley Bronstein, and today we talk about how real change starts with awareness, not urgency. Stanley's story is rare because it isn't just about losing weight, it's about building a life that can hold the results. He lost over 220 pounds without drugs or surgery, going from 367 pounds down to 140, and he's maintained that transformation for nearly 17 years. That long-term maintenance is where most people struggle, and it's where Stanley's message hits hardest. Over decades of trial, discipline, and hard-earned clarity, Stanley realized that temporary solutions don't survive real life. Motivation fades, circumstances shift, short bursts of effort unravel, and lasting change requires something different. It requires systems, structure, and an identity strong enough to keep showing up when the excitement is gone. In this conversation, we talk about what actually makes change permanent, the mindset behind daily walking and sustainable food choices, the difference between intensity and consistency, and the four barriers Stanley sees over and over: willingness, belief, discipline, and commitment. This isn't a story about transformation as an event. It's a story about maintenance, about choosing practices that endure, and about proving, over time, that consistency can quietly reshape a life. Welcome to No One is Normal, the podcast where real stories remind us that none of us are alone. You can also visit the website www.bradhhill.com or www.nooneisnormal.co for resources, updates, and future podcast episodes. I am Brad H. Hill, and each week we talk about the messy, the complicated, and the deeply human moments that shape us and remain in our memories. I am not here to tell anyone how to live. I am here to offer the stories, the insights that made me realize that no one is normal, including me, because healing starts when self-honesty begins. Hey Stanley, thank you for joining the show today.
You're welcome.
What are you currently doing in your life right now?
What I'm currently doing in my life right now is kind of shifting gears. I'm 66, and my primary work career has been as an attorney and as a CPA. As a result of a lot of the changes I've made in my life, which we're going to go into a little bit later in the program, I kind of have moved more into the personal improvement world because I've spent a lot of time working on myself and I've had good results, fortunately. And it has taught me many things. And as a result of those, I now am working to share those things with others. And I know we're going to go into that as well, specifically what it is I'm doing. But that, like I said, I've kind of shifted gears. I still practice law, but I've gotten a little more selective. I don't take in everything that comes in the door. If somebody calls me on the phone and says, "Stanley, I've got a multi-million-dollar deal. Will you help me?"
Right.
Sure.
That's an easy one.
Yeah, I'm not going to turn it away.
So great, yeah. So tell me a little bit about your story. Like what kind of prompted your change?
Okay. Well, I'll give you. I'll go all the way to the beginning, and then I'll do that part quickly because it's so long ago. It all started when I was 8 years old. My mother died.
Sorry to hear that.
And thank you. And like any typical 8-year-old, that obviously had an effect on me, and in ways that the people around me, my father namely, didn't really understand. That was not, he was not a well-educated man, but he was a smart man, common sense. He had a fifth grade education, but he was a hard worker. Good man. So sitting there, my feelings got all bottled up. And my father was massively obese. And both of us just started eating ourselves into oblivion. And look at my pictures from the time I ate, I just started getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. By the time I went to college, I was probably in my, I don't remember the exact number. I was in my 280, you know, somewhere around there or something like that. So I was a pretty big boy because I'm only 5'7", 5'8", somewhere around there. And I would lose weight, put it back on, lose weight, put it back on. Um, I had my senior year in college, I got down all the way to 200 pounds. And then I went on a trip with some friends and a road trip, and they had some cookies to come. And I started eating the cookies, and that just set me right back on the same spot.
Temptation is crazy. Just one cookie. That's all it takes sometimes.
Temptation was crazy at the time. I've gotten a little better at dealing with it now. We'll talk about that too. And so over time, I put on weight, put on weight, put on weight. By the time I was 28 years old, I was around 367 pounds. Really big.
Wow.
I was working with one of my older brothers, and we got in an argument when I was a CPA at the time. We got in an argument, and he says, "You ought to go to law school." He said, "You're absolutely right." And so at the age of 28, I took the LCT, got into law school. I went at night part-time, so it took me 4 years instead of 3. I became a lawyer, changed my life. So thanks, bro. Although I still think you were wrong when you told me I didn't know what I was doing. That's neither here nor there. And it's good that I went, and it changed my life. My last year in law school, again, I got on Weight Watchers and I lost 100 pounds.
Oh, wow.
So, I lost more. And it was funny when I took the bar exam, there was me and another guy sitting at the table, and we started talking before the test. He had also lost 110 pounds. So between the two of us, we had the lightest table, there. And so I became a lawyer, working, put all my weight back on, got really big. And, but I never got above 320 because I had made some permanent changes in my life. That's one thing I'm going to talk about. Why did I keep putting the weight back on? It's because the changes I only made were temporary.
Right.
Temporary changes give you temporary results. Permanent changes give you permanent results. And one permanent change I made was I used to have a habit of getting up in the middle of the night and eating meals. I mean, I would go into the kitchen and I'll eat a full meal. I'm not talking about a snack. I'm talking about a meal. And I stopped doing that. Weight Watchers broke me from that. Because one of the tricks I learned, I was eating a lot of those Weight Watchers frozen dinners. And one of the tricks I learned was that when I got up in the middle of the night and I was hungry, I would pull one of the packages out of the freezer. I would stare at the picture on the cover of the box. I would think what it tasted like. And I would imagine what it tasted like. I'd go, that was good. And then I'd put it back in the freezer and I'd go back to bed. So that broke me from the habit of eating no nuts. So that's why my weight never got past 320. But still got married, all kinds of other things. My wife loved me. But when we got married, I was like in my 260s. But then I started getting bigger again, bigger again, bigger again. So fast forward to 2009, 4 months before my 50th birthday, and it was February 1st. I had been thinking, at the beginning of the year that like everybody does with New Year's resolutions, which we're coming up on now. I said, this needs to be the year I'd start getting in shape. Well, I missed it in January. Didn't do it, didn't do it, didn't do it. Then I woke up and I said, Stanley, where are you going to be in 5 years if you keep doing what you're doing? And I didn't like the answer because the answer was I was going to be dead. As I like to say, I wasn't committing suicide. I was committing slow-acide for
That's true.
slowly eating myself to death. Hadn't had a heart attack yet. Knees hadn't given out yet. Hadn't had a stroke yet. All that stuff was coming. And I said, I'm wasting my potential. And I said, this is BS. This is ridiculous. I shouldn't be doing this. I'm so much better than you. So I turned to my wife and I said, I'm done playing this game. I'm cooked. I'm toasted. I'm going to start eating better right now. And I said, you may like some of the things I do. And yeah, I said, you may agree with some of the things I do, and you may not agree with some of the things I do. And frankly, I don't care whether you agree or not.
Sometimes you have to make sure that you're taking care of yourself, and sometimes other people's have to go by the side. You know, you have to really focus on you sometimes.
Yes, but before we go any further, I'll tell you we are still married.
Yep.
But yeah, I will tell you that. But I told her, I'm going to do this. If you don't like it, that's too bad. And I said, I'm going on a journey. I'm inviting you to come along for the ride with me. And I hope you do. But if you don't, I don't care. If I have to do this or I'm going to be dead. Those are the words I use. And I started slowly learning better. I gave up booze. I gave up alcohol. I wouldn't say I was an alcoholic, but I would say I was drinking too much. So for some personalities like me, I like to say abstinence is sometimes easier than moderation.
That's the same with me. I'm the type of person if I do something, I'm kind of all in, you know.
Yeah,
So I'd rather just
they
be
call that an
not do it.
addictive personality.
Exactly. Right.
I have one too. And so I said abstinence is easier than moderation. So no booze, haven't had a drink in 17 years. Then, and I don't miss it either.
Yeah,
And
me
it's
either.
interesting when you go to a party and everyone else is drinking. The party takes from a totally different perspective. The things you notice and the things you see. And I gave up soda, soda pop, gave that up. And I gave up red meat and pork, beef and pork, gave those up. Having had that in 17 years. And I started walking. And I was so big at the time, I did a lot of my walking, I did it in the pool. I would just go literally for hours. I would walk up and down, back and forth in the pool. And be waist high water and I, walk. And I had my cell phone, I had it in a pouch. I could hold everything. So I listened to audiobook, all kinds of stuff. One of the audiobooks I listened to was Younger Next Year. It was geared for men in their 50s and 60s. And when you get it together, that's too late. It was an interesting book. I recommend it to other people now. And they have a version for women too. Um, so I was doing that. And then I came up with a goal for myself. I said, I'm the pool walk guy. And I want to be able to walk 5 hours in the pool on my 50th birthday. Um, there's a resort spot here in Arizona, 2 hours away from me called Canyon. I went there for my 50th birthday, spent the week by myself, and I was training in the pool, helping in the pool. I called them before I booked the place, and I got them to give me permission. They were going to leave the pool open so that I could go there at 2 o'clock in the morning and get in the pool and walk when it wasn't good. They were letting me in. And so it's funny. I've been to Canyon Ranch many times before, and it's kind of a little bit of a fitness place. There was always the fitness person there. Well, this time it was me. I became known as the pool walk guy. And everywhere I was going, they go, are you the pool walk guy? Are you the pool walk guy? So on my 50th birthday, sure enough, I did it. The next day, I was going to walk 3, 4 hours, but there was another guy there who needed to lose a bunch of weight. And he got in the pool right as I was getting ready to quit. And so I wound up walking an extra hour or so with him. So I wound up doing like 6 hours. Can do it, no big deal. Then when I got home, I said, okay, I'm ready to start walking outside. And started doing that and just gradually increasing, gradually increasing. After 3, 4 years, I said, let's go another step. I gave up meat altogether. I gave up chicken. and turkey. I never liked fish, so I essentially became vegetarian. And I've been vegetarian for the last 12 and a half years, whatever that is. And then moved forward a few more years, for another 5 years or so. I couldn't get my weight down below like 180. I'd go 180 to 220, 180 to 220. It wasn't stable. All while I was literally walking 12 to 15 miles a day every day.
That's a lot.
And
That's a
I
lot.
just see that's the addictive personality part. I've become a walker. I am a professional walker, is what I like to call myself. And but I couldn't get my weight down. And so I said, I'm doing something wrong here. Now, you want to talk about mindset? We're going to talk about mindset shifts. I said to myself, I think I need to give up milk. I need to give up dairy, butter, cheese, and ice cream. I said, I think that's what's doing it. And I was having trouble with the mental switch doing that. I had a massage therapist I was working with, and she was a former Buddhist nun. And I used to love to work with her because it was like meditative working with her. The conversations with her were better than the massages. And so I was telling her all this, and she said, Stanley, what's keeping you from doing this? And she was working on me at the time, so I looked up at her and I turned around and said, not a damn thing. Then I started right away. And I did that. I didn't lose, not only did I lose the weight I wanted, I melted. I mean, I lost 50, 60 pounds in like 5 minutes. And and then since then I've kept it off. And the experience of doing this, to be quite frank with you, I'm a confident guy. Always have been. But would you believe me if I told you the experience of doing this blew my mind?
It sometimes when you look in that mirror and you see what you see and you don't like it, it's kind of can be a little disheartening.
No, but what I've been able to do is what blew my mind.
Right.
And and the experience taught me three things. And here's what gets to your listeners. The third one applies to your listeners. First thing it taught me is that I am more powerful than I ever imagined. Second thing it taught me is that if I could do this, what else is out there waiting for me to do that I haven't done yet? And you asked me what I was doing at the beginning. That's what I'm doing now, is the things I haven't done yet, the things I was put here on this earth to do. I know who I am and I know what those things are. And then the third thing it taught me was, as special as I am no more special than anybody else. We are all special. And that if I can do this, so can others. And that is what taught me something.
Yeah, I think that one of the things you kind of going back to your story is you walked in a pool. You didn't have that first excuse, oh, my knees hurt, my joints hurt, my feet hurt. You actually had something that helped you kind of go through that process and not have an excuse to stop. You actually had something that was your first step to be able to do it.
Yes, that's true. And I'll tell you something else. Another thing I've learned along the way is, and this is where self-discipline comes in. On the days when you don't feel like doing it, those are the days when you need to do it twice.
Right.
If y'all don't feel like doing it, too damn bad. I mean, I wasn't as motivated this morning to do my normal walking. Too bad. Doing it anyway. And guess what? I'm just fine and I'm surviving and I'm getting it done. You, it's, there are so many factors to this. It's, first of all, it starts with awareness and telling yourself the truth. And that was what I did on February 1st, 2009. I told myself the truth that I was killing myself. And then when you tell yourself the truth, are you going to do something about it? And that was what I decided to do. I started doing something about it. I took appropriate action based upon what I told myself. Then it's putting long-term thinking ahead of short-term. Short-term thinking is I'm hungry. I want some Chinese food. Damn it, I'm going to go get some Chinese. I'm going to go to a Chinese buffet and I'm going to pig out. Long-term thinking is going to the Chinese buffet and pigging out day after day after day is killing me. And in the long term, there will be no long term. And I don't want that. So long term is need to stop going to the Chinese buffets.
When you look at any type of goal setting, right, it's a goal is an end goal and you got a start point, and there are tons of steps in between. And you know what? That is the most important thing is you got to follow those steps and kind of keep going to that point till you get your goal.
What I say is I sum up what you just said in two words. One two-word phrase and one four-word phrase. Beat yesterday.
Right.
Your goal is to do better today than you did yesterday. That's it. Your goal is not to beat your neighbor. Your goal is not to beat somebody else. You're not in competition with anybody. Your goal is to do better today than you did yesterday. Beat yesterday. And the other one is constant and never-ending improvement. CANI. Can I? And the answer is damn straight you can.
Hmm.
And I am in year 17 of constant and never-ending improvement. And you know that old saying where they say you want to get 1% better every day? I actually did an Excel spreadsheet where I literally started compounding it 1% every day for 17 years to see where it ended up. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but I am something like 1 septillion times better than I was 17 years ago. Septillion.
Hmm.
It I mean, I'm not the same. I am the same person I was, but I'm not the same person I was. And 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 here's the funny part. It seems scary when you're going to embark on this journey. You go, I have to do this. I have to do that. I have to do this or that. You don't have to do anything. You're alive. You get to do everything. It is not an obligation to take care of yourself. It is a privilege to take care of yourself. It is not your obligation to help your fellow human beings. It is your privilege to help your fellow human beings. It is not our obligation to take care of each other. It is our privilege to take care of each other. And that mindset makes things so much easier. And you just continue to do this. But, I started asking myself, what kind of life do I want to shape for myself? And I just, I want to say one thing along the way. I was not perfect. I was not a saint. I made mistakes along the way. I had bad days. I did some things that were wrong. I did things that were screwed up. I mean, there were some things I never went back on. I mean, I never relapsed and had a drink. That I never did. I never relapsed and had a soda. But there were days I ate too much, or I ate some crap I shouldn't eat, or whatever. But over time, you build momentum and it gets easier and easier and easier. And I am to the point now, you talk about temptation. Okay. The other day, I had a package delivered to me. There's a lawyer in town I've sent some clients to, and they had one of their employees drop off a package for me at my house. It was filled with gourmet cupcakes and gourmet cookies from a leading bakery in town. Took the box, I took the package, I said, thank you very much. Left it at that. And I did not touch a single one of them. Wound up giving the cupcakes to one of my neighbors, and the cookies are sitting in the fridge in the garage. And my wife is going to a party tomorrow, and she's going to take them there and use them there. But um, but I didn't eat them. And I also shared that story with a client of mine, a weight loss client of mine, who we were talking about temptation. I told her what I did. We went to last year, we went to Europe for 9 days. I am probably the only person who went to Europe for 9 days and lost weight because I made a commitment to myself that I was not going to eat anything bad when I was there, and I didn't. I went into grocery stores, I bought healthy food, and I ate healthy food the whole time.
Did you still do your routine of walking? Did you walk
Yes,
at the
absolutely.
hotel, or did you do any walking
Yeah,
in
we walked.
sightseeing?
My wife and I walked everywhere. One of the places we went, we were in London. We walked all over the place. I mean, we walked from our hotel to Notting Hill, where the movie was. We wound up walking through Kensington Park while we were doing. Totally discovered it by accident. It's interesting the things you discover when you're on foot. And met some really nice people there. There was a scone place there that my wife had seen on TV. She said, "Oh, we have to go there. I've got to eat one." you know. And then she ate one. And I said, "Was it as good as you imagined?" And she said, "No." But she ate it and she enjoyed it. Um, but so yes, I kept up my routine. I am committed to my routine. I get it done. I have a minimum routine, and then sometimes I have stretch goals. Like I'm planning on one day next week. Haven't decided what day yet. I might pick the 24th or the 25th because those days are going to be quiet. I'm going to walk a marathon.
Nice.
I've done six of them this year. That'll be my seventh. Over the last 17 years, I have walked 106 marathons.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah. I just crossed this year, I just crossed 5,000 miles for the
Nice.
year. And that is, if you start out in Los Angeles and keep walking, I'm somewhere in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean.
Taking a quick pause here. If this episode is resonating, I would love for you to follow the No One is Normal podcast on whatever platform you listen on. Every follow helps this show reach people who might need these stories. Now let's jump back in.
By now. And, but it's you, the point of it is, it's not that I'm Superman. It is that I went from massively obese couch potato to someone who is 66 years old, who is physically capable and mentally capable of doing that with ease. I'm not even busting my butt to do it. It that is the power of the human mind and the human spirit. When you put it all together, that's what I mean. And you don't have to do what I do. The world already has one Stanley. It does not need another one, but it does need the best you. And that's why I created a system. I call it the Way of Excellence. It's actually up on the wall behind me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's on my website, thewayofexcellence.com. And the system is all laid out there. There's text, there's videos, there's four of my books are on that site. You can download them for free.
Nice.
And one of the reasons I made them available for free is that I want to help people. I mean, do I want to make money? Sure, absolutely. But the mission is more important than the money. So I make the information available for free. If someone wants to work with me privately, I'm happy to work with them privately. But if someone can't afford to do that or doesn't want to do that, all the information is there. It's all there. I want them to have it and I want it to help them.
Nice.
Um, like and one of the other things I did, we talked about what else is out there waiting for me to do. And I told you that I know who I am. I know what my purpose is. One of my purposes is to share my story and the things I learned from doing it. A lot of times, all the mistakes I made that got me where I was. Would you believe me if I told you I don't regret any of it?
That's how you learn.
Because yes, it is all the mistakes I made is what made me into the person I am today. It's what taught me what I know today. And I happen to like who I am today. And so I started a thing called the Million Pound Weight Loss Challenge. Again, it's free. Millionpoundweightlosschallenge.com. I have 4,800 members
Wow. Nice.
right now, and it's growing. And about 1,000 of those are outside the United States. So it literally is a worldwide movement of people in English speaking countries.
Right.
But yeah, eventually I'd like to take it to some other languages, but I got to get started, where I'm at first. That and it's got good information on there, curated information, no BS information, how to lose weight by eating healthy. And again, it's all about mindset, movement, and and emotional regulation. You know, eating for the right reasons. And so I'm helping people. That's what I want to do. That's what I was put here for. And I am fortunate. I am in a stage in my life where I can do that. I mean, I could retire today if I wanted to.
That's kind of one of the big things is, I know when I get to that point, I'm still going to do something, right? You know, starting this podcast was important for me to try to help people. It's not about the money. It's not about really anything. It's more getting the people on to help the people who are listening.
Yes. And it will grow into something for you. If you stick with it, you persist, it will grow and it will evolve into something. And what it evolves into might be something you never even thought about. You know, I mean, this whole Million Pound Weight Loss thing, that in around May, I said to myself, I'm going to do this. And by June, I had it started. And then you have days where you feel like, why am I doing this? Then 2, 3 days ago, I got an email totally out of the blue from one of the members that said, since the middle of June, I have lost 60 pounds. I had to go, I was rushed to the hospital back on June 17th because my doctor told me I was in kidney failure. And, I was having all these issues. And I had type 2 diabetic, I've been on all these drugs and all this and that. And I finally said, I'm done. This is ridiculous. And he too started learning to eat better and started doing things. The picture of him from 6 months ago and the picture of him now, they're not the same person. And I said, may I safely assume your kidney problems have gone away? And he said, yes, they have. He's almost off his diabetes meds and he feels a million times better. So then you hear a story like that, and you go, okay, you know, I'm doing something good here. And then what did I do with this story? I had him write it up, some of the pictures. I put it in a newsletter and I sent it out to all the members of the Million Pound Weight Loss Challenge. And I said, this is what one of our members did. You can do it too. Have a happy holiday, safe holiday, and a happy new year. And I sent that to everybody. You know, give them a positive message at a time when we all need a positive message. I have faith in everybody. I have faith in this crazy mixed up country we live in. I have faith in this crazy mixed up world we live in. I know it is getting better. But like any type of success, it's not a straight line. It's zigzag, up, down, back, forth, in, out. It's a mess. But I believe we are getting there.
Yeah, that's like, you kind of go back to that point. I kind of, I've heard this before. I don't know who it's from, but it's you gotta eat to live, not live to eat. You
Yeah,
know, you gotta know proportions. You gotta know what you're taking in. You have to burn, right?
yeah.
It's important to just start. It doesn't have to be pretty at first. It's always going to be ugly at first, but just getting that momentum and starting, and enough times of doing something becomes a habit.
Quality is important, just as important as quantity. You know, People told me I need to write a diet book. And I said, if I write a diet book, it's going to have a 3-word title. And the title describes my whole philosophy. And you know what that title is?
What's that?
Eat, eat no shit. That's the title of the book. I mean, it really is that simple. I made a commitment to myself many years ago that only healthy food is going to enter my mouth. Only healthy thoughts are going to enter my head. And I'm only going to hang around healthy people, good people. If I run across somebody who's bad influence on me, I get away from them as quickly as I can, and blow it off. Um, so it really it's what you put into your mind, it's what you put into your body, it's what you put into your spirit. Your inputs are going to determine your outputs.
So what do you think one of the major bottlenecks for people trying to get that motivation and momentum? What would you suggest to people that are just not getting past that hump?
First of all, I don't like the word motivation. And you know why I don't like motivation? Because motivation wears off. Motivation never lasts. We're coming up on January 1st. How many people are going to join the gym? How many people are going to stop going by February 1st or March 1st? Motivation wears off. Discipline, self-discipline, on the other hand, does not. That's what's going to keep you going. So there are things I call it the 4 factors. They're in my system. They're concepts. The system is made up of 20 concepts. It's concepts 16, 17, 18, and 19. The 4 factors. First one is willingness. Do you want it? I told that, I was talking to one of my weight loss, that same weight loss lady, the one that I told her about not eating the cupcakes that got sent to me. She made some comment, and I said, "Look, do you want it? Because if you don't want it, you and I are wasting our time. If you want it, go for it. So you got to want it, and you got to be willing to do what it takes for as long as it takes. And as I mentioned before, temporary change yields temporary results. Permanent change yields permanent results. So for many things, you have to be willing to do it for the rest of your hopefully very healthy, happy, long life. Got to be willing. That's number one. Number two, belief. On many levels, people don't believe they can do it. They go, "Oh, it's so hard. There are so many steps. It's going to take forever." Look about me. I didn't get to 300 plus pounds overnight, and believe me, the weight didn't come off overnight either. Um, I mean, I had one time in the middle of it where I had months where I didn't lose an ounce for a couple of months. And I felt like hell too. I mean, I felt like, because what I realized was all the toxins that you eat when you're getting fat, storing the fat in your body. And as I was burning the fat, all those toxins were getting released into my system. And I had 2, 3 months where I felt like I was a pinata and somebody hung me upside down and beat me with a baseball bat. I mean, that's what I felt like. And then just all of a sudden, I started feeling better and the weight started coming off again. But belief, believing in yourself, believe in your abilities, believe in your talents, believe in your ideas. You can do it. If you believe you can or you believe you can't, either way, you're right.
Hmm.
So, belief. You got to have belief. Then, discipline. Creating good, positive habits and breaking old negative habits. I mean, like I mentioned, I used to go to Chinese buffets all the time. Well, that was a habit I needed to break. And the way I broke that was I started bringing healthy food to the office. And when it came time to get in my car and go to the Chinese restaurant, Instead, I walked in the office and ate something healthy, and created, I broke an old habit and I created a new positive habit. Same thing, with the walking. I walk a minimum of 2 hours a day every day. And that's my bare minimum. It's really more like 4 or 5 hours. But I work for myself and I live at home and I'm in work at home. And fortunately, my work is the kind where I can do it when I'm out walking. So as long as I have my phone with me, I can get phone calls, I can do things, I can get stuff done a lot of times. My treadmill in the other room, I've got a computer hooked up to it. I can be on the treadmill walking and do stuff. It has been over 7 years since I've had a day off where I didn't walk at least 2 hours. And if you go back the last 12 years, I've only had 3 days where I haven't. And on those 3 days, I was sick as a dog. And if you would have told me that missing my 2 hours of walking on those 3 days were going to interrupt a 12-year streak, I would have found a way to do it. Because, I sit there and I look back at that. But I do it every day. I I go to bed, my clothes are on the nightstand next to my bed. Wake up in the morning. I do not ask myself, am I going to do it? I just do it, which brings me to the fourth of the four factors, commitment. The more committed you are to something, the easier it becomes to make good decisions. And when you're 100% committed, you don't have to make any decisions. I am 100% committed to only eating healthy food every day. So when someone puts unhealthy food in front of me, like the cupcakes, I do not have to sit there and ask myself, should I eat these or should I not eat these? Because the answer is automatically no. So the decision's gone. I don't have to make that decision over and over and over. Because if you have to make the decision over and over, sometimes you're going to make the wrong decision. We are all human beings. We are not perfect. We screw up. We get tempted. We do things. That's just the way it is. And but when you become 100% committed, things become easy. So, you know, 100 becoming 100% committed is how you achieve your maximum potential. If you're anything less than 100%, you might improve, and hopefully you will, but you're not going to get all the way there. So it's willingness, belief, self-discipline, commitment. And I make it sound easy, but the funny thing is, it is easy once you make up your mind. It's much easier than you think. And people say, Stanley, you gave up all these things. And I go, I didn't give up a damn thing. I gained everything.
Yes, in my life, I added the time to do it, right? I set, here's my goal time. I'm doing it at this point every day. I do it an hour and a half before I even go to work. I got an hour and a half in. That way it's already done. Work's the easy part, right? I got my workout in. I got everything I wanted to. Go to work, come home. I don't got to worry about a bad day after work and oh, I got to do all this stuff. It's already there. It's scheduled. My alarm's on. I go and then I go to work and then I come home and I don't have to worry about it.
That's good. That's a routine. That is discipline. That is a positive routine you have set up that works for you. That is why I put all of this into a system. Because, like I said, you do not have to do what I do, but you do get to do what you need to do. As long as you're alive, you are in a position to do these things, and you get to do them. So by putting it into a system, other people can replicate it. Other people can apply it to what they want. And I teach classes on the system, and one of the very first things I tell people is, you're going to hear me talk a lot about weight loss. I want to tell you right now, this is not a weight loss program. I'm not here to sell you a weight loss solution. And the only reason we're going to talk about weight loss a lot is because that is my story, and I'm going to use my story as an example, and I'm going to pick on myself. And I'm going to tell you what I went through. And I'm going to tell you my story, but you can apply it to anything. You want to spend more time with your family? System will help you figure out how to do that. You want to spend less time at the office? System will help you do that. You want to quit drinking? System will help you do that. Any of these things. You want to succeed in your business? It'll help you. All those things.
Well, first and foremost, again, thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Let's kind of talk about some of your. Let's do a recap, kind of on what you have as far as websites. You got a book, correct?
Several books.
Several books. You want to
Yeah,
plug some of those real quick?
sure. There are two primary websites. First one is thewayofexcellence.com. No spaces, you know, thewayofexcellence.com. That is my main website that has the whole system in it. It gives you an overview of the system, and it gives you two pathways to go down. The first one is if you want to focus on yourself, you click a button that says start with you, and it takes you to a page called The Way of You, which is another one of my books. It talks about how to apply the system to yourself personally. If you're concerned about your relationships, your community, your country, your world, that type of thing, you click the other arrow, it takes you to The Way of Us, which is yet another book. Or you can click one that says start with the system and learn the system. So you can do that. I've got four books that are available on the website. They are all for free. You can download them and put them on your tablet, your phone, whatever you want to do, or your computer. Or you can even read it on the website. It's got it in a format where you can click on these accordion tabs and read chapter by chapter and read it. It also has a place at the bottom. You're welcome to join my mailing list if you would like to. You do not have to. You can download all this stuff. You don't have to even tell me you were there. But if you want to know more and you want to stay in touch, join my mailing list. And so takes you through all of that. Called millionpoundweightlosschallenge.com. You go there, that is a registration site. A lot of the material on that site is behind a registration wall, but it is free. The reason I want you to register is I want to be able to regulate the activity that goes on that site. I want to make sure there aren't, because if you can imagine a site with people who want to lose weight, there could be bullies going on there picking on people. There could be people trying to sell people crap. So I made it a registration site so that I could regulate it. And that was one of the reasons I didn't do it on Facebook or Instagram because I didn't want Facebook telling me what to do and what not to do. I wanted to have full control over what goes on there. And And when you create an account there, it's free. You automatically get put on our email list. The first thing you'll do over the next like 25, 30 days, you'll get an email every 2 or 3 days with some tips. Getting started this. There are a lot of challenges on that site. millionpoundweightlosschallenge.com. A walking challenge. Walk 20 minutes a day for the next week. Um, no sugar, no flour challenge. Go 3 days without eating added sugar or white flour. Um, you know, mindset challenges, um, all kinds of, join a fitness class challenge, all kinds of stuff designed to get people started. And there's a ton of information on what is healthy, what is not healthy. Like one of the things you hear all the time, there's a common misconception out there, several common misconceptions. One is that all carbs are bad. And if you want to lose weight, don't eat carbs. Well, I don't agree with that. I think that's not healthy and I don't think it's good for our kidneys. The point is, some carbs are bad. Donuts are bad. Refined sugar is bad. Sugar that comes from fruit, that's great. Eat all that you want. And the reason why is that when you eat fruit, it has fiber along with it. And the fiber slows down the processing of the sugar in your bloodstream. It does not spike your blood sugar level, and it does not cause you diabetes. I mean, I eat tons of fruit. And my A1C, my blood sugar level is so low, it's not even funny. I'm nowhere near, you know, being diabetic or pre-diabetic. So it's what you it's the quality of what you eat. And I give a lot of information, you know, about that. And it's curated information because there is so much bad information on the internet. It's not even funny. And honestly, I'm not trying to diss doctors here, but a lot of times you get bad information from your doctors too. And the reason why is that nutrition, back when most doctors got licensed, nutrition was not a very major part of the curriculum that they learned in med school. I mean, if you could imagine this whole big blackboard is everything they learned in medical school, put one little dot in the middle, that's what they learned about nutrition. And they just weren't taught it. They don't know
Right.
it. I mean, there's a cardiologist who lives in my neighborhood. He was a little overweight. We were out walking and I started telling him about healthy eating. What do you think happened? He lost 20 or 30 pounds. And that's a cardiologist. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not dissing them. If I get run over, please take me to the emergency room. I mean, please. Yeah.
Yeah, there's one thing that I kind of tend to kind of gravitate to. It's the HALT method. Are you hungry? You angry? You lonely? You tired?
Tired.
You
Yeah.
know, those four things, sometimes you get that craving for food. You know, if sometimes if you're hungry, you're just thirsty. You know, maybe you just drink that big glass of water and that might stifle your appetite. Like, oh, I was just thirsty. You know, it's
You're
amazing how many
you're right.
vitamins and minerals people are deficient of. And when you get blood tests, they don't check for your vitamin B, vitamin D, or any of that. You have to actually ask for that
Well, I
outside.
do because I'm actually getting ready. I've got my physical next month, and I'm gonna get. I have a whole panel of stuff I do, and I do it twice a year. But yeah, you're right. You should check on those things, especially if you're 50 or older.
Right. You might
But
be
really,
low on potassium, magnesium, vitamin, like your vitamin B and D. Those are really big for how you're feeling. You know, it's just
oh,
it's crazy.
I'll give you an example, vitamin D. My wife was having gum issues with her teeth, and the dentist said, you need to go see a specialist. So I referred her to a specialist. The very first thing the specialist said was, have you had your vitamin D level checked? She said, I bet it's low. And so there's a place down the street from us where you can just go online, you order the test. It's like $50. You don't even need the doctor's, you know, approval to go do it. And you shook the test. Sure enough, it was low. So she started taking a vitamin D supplement, which I was already taking anyway. I had it in the cabinet. So I started putting it in with her stuff and she takes it. Guess what happened? Problem went away.
Hmm.
But, the doctor, without even testing, she said, you should have it checked. And you know what I did when I went back to the dentist? I told the dentist, I mean, I didn't say shame on you, but they should have known that. And I told them, I told the dentist, I said, the next time you see a patient who's having similar problems like that, suggest to them that they go get their vitamin D level checked.
Yeah, it's kind of what one thing that's kind of crazy to me is, you know, the doctor and the pharmaceutical companies, they push pharmaceuticals, not naturals. You know,
Yeah.
doctors do the same thing because that's what they're taught. They're taught to push the pharmaceuticals, and when it's actually probably the natural homeopathic things you should be looking at to help regulate your body. Those other things just mask and change things that are going to create other issues.
That's one of the reasons I like my doctor and I like my wife's doctor because both of them are healthy. And, I go to my doctor and he says, what are you doing? He asks me what I'm doing because he wants to do it and he wants to tell his patients. I went to my wife's last appointment and met her doctor, and she was the same thing. And I even told them some of the things that I make. I sprout certain greens and stuff. If you look, I've got my new creation over here. Can you see that?
Hydroponic.
That stand? Yeah,
Yep.
I literally just started putting it together this morning. I just got it, and the reason it's in my office is because my wife would not let me put it in the living room or the kitchen, so it's in my office. But Yeah, I'm going to start growing all kinds of stuff. And
That's good. It's point of use, right? You have it there. It's growing. It's easier to get. You don't have to run to a store to get it. If you already have it there, and it's easy to grab and cultivate.
but
You
it's
know,
clean also.
and it's clean. Yeah,
Yeah,
not as many
that's what
pesticides,
it's all.
herbicides. You know,
Yeah, and so that's where I'm at. It's in a nutshell. But the point is to sum this all up. You can do it. You are capable of more than you ever imagined. If you're afraid, if you have doubts, that's normal. You're a human being. We all have them. And what are the initials of fear? FEAR. When you feel fear, you can do one of two things. You can forget everything and run, or you can face everything and rise. The power comes from learning to face everything and rise. You can do it. And if you want, Brad can help you. If you want me to help you, you're welcome. Go to my website, thewayofexcellence.com. Go through some of the materials. There's on the bottom of the page, there's a link where you can email me. You know, send me a link. You want to get started? You want to do something or join my mailing list? Whatever. Do all those things. Um, that's we're here to help.
exactly. I think that's the big thing is we're always going to be in your corner. That's what we're here for.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but that's why I was put on the face of this earth.
Starting to hear my calling. That's important to me to feel that I'm helping somebody.
I'm hearing my call too.
Sounds good. Well, thanks, Stan. I appreciate it. Hopefully, everybody comes, visits your site, and goes through some of your books and some of your material to want to better themselves. And thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. And if I can ever help you, Brad, you know where I'm at.
Some progress doesn't announce itself, it accumulates. What Stanley laid out today wasn't hype, and it wasn't a new trick. It was proof that real change becomes real freedom when it's built on systems you can live inside of. The kind that still works when motivation dies, stress hits, and life gets loud. If this episode spoke to you, it might be because deep down you already know the truth. Lasting change looks ordinary. It looks like discipline without drama. Walking when it would be easier not to. Making one good decision, then repeating it until it becomes who you are. Just a reminder, the stories and conversations in this podcast are for informational and personal reflection only. Nothing shared here should be taken as medical, legal, or professional advice. Always speak with a qualified professional about your own personal situation. Thank you for listening to No One Is Normal. If today's message resonated with you, you can find the book No One Is Normal on Amazon and Kindle, and explore more resources at www.bradhhill.com or www.nooneisnormal.co. Remember, you weren't meant to be normal, you were meant to be you.